Hello and welcome back to episode 26 of the Middle Ground Podcast. I've got a busy day ahead of me. I'm heading to Brazil later, so I'm going to make this very quick. But I had this thought and I couldn't let it go, so I thought I'd record it in advance. This will probably come out 2 weeks later, so I will just be about to come back from Brazil when this comes out, which is pretty cool. And I'll update you on how Brazil was. I'm going to talk very quickly about chasing a body and not a lifestyle, why that's not a great idea, and what to do instead. So, I know that a lot of you probably have an idea of a dream physique, something that you want to look like. And that's okay. I've been there 100%. To some degree, I still am there. I don't think it's a bad thing to strive for a certain physique or to want to look better. I don't think that's an inherently negative thing. However, if you let that only be the driving force, you will either end up not being there and being very upset about it, or being there and being unable to sustain it because the lifestyle required isn't sustainable for you inherently. So, the way that I like to go about this, and like to go about achieving this physique change, especially in the long term, is thinking about how you can alter your lifestyle. Thinking about the lifestyle that you want to live and the body that might come as a result of that, rather than thinking of the body and letting the lifestyle come as a result. Because again, you're either going to end up in a routine that you absolutely hate and can't sustain, or you're going to end up without the body that you want and being annoyed about it. Whereas, if you start to consider the habits that you want to do on a daily and a weekly basis and the way you want your life to look, the physique that comes as a byproduct of that, you're going to be happy with, because you're happy with the way that you live your day-to-day life. If you have a lifestyle that is enjoyable and that you enjoy, and that's filled with healthy habits and that you're proud of, you'll be able to sustain that body forever. There won't be a point where you can no longer sustain it because it's part of the process. It's just another part of the process. It's not something you're pushing yourself balls to the wall to keep and achieve. And a lot of people forget that physiques are very alterable by the food that you eat, or by the amount of food that you eat. You can have the exact same routine as someone and a completely different physique, even if it's person A, person B, and they're clones of each other. Very different physiques. So that body that you want and that you dream of, it might only be a case of creating a sustainable, happy, healthy lifestyle, and then reducing your calories a little bit and getting leaner than normal. And then bringing them back up when you're leaner and being able to sustain that potentially. Like, this shit isn't crazy. But if you lead with the body, you're probably not going to get it and you're going to be annoyed about it. Whereas if you lead with the lifestyles, there's lots of changes you can do along the way without having this pressure of maintaining this dream physique that you quote unquote want, right? The way I like to think about this is that your body is the physical manifestation of all of your habits. You cannot cheat that. There is absolutely no way around that because it is a science. It's biology. Your body is a physical representation of the habits that you have. You won't get in great shape without working for it. There's no you can't circumvent that. There's no way around. There's no shortcut. I think that's why there's been a bit of pushback against the weight loss drugs. It's because if someone was in great shape, you could tell a lot about their character, about their discipline, about their willpower. Now, this isn't me saying I agree with this, by the way. I actually don't. But people have began to get in great shape and people are struggling to judge their character off of it. And I think that's a big pushback, but that's irrelevant. That's not really what I want to talk about. But you are a physical manifestation of the things that you do on a daily and a weekly basis. The foods that you eat, the exercise that you do, the way you approach your day-to-day life. You can't cheat that shit. Now, what I don't want people to do is go away and think that they can't sustain any level of healthy habits or a healthy physique because they've never been there, they've never pushed it. And sometimes you do have to go to the extreme end of things that might be a little bit unsustainable for you to realize that they are unsustainable for you, and then you can pull it back. Then you can go, okay, that was too far, can't sustain that, let's bring it back a little bit. I've been there. I've had routines that I've done that long-term were unsustainable. And now I'm in one that is very sustainable. And I keep the physique. So sometimes you have to push to those ends to get to that point to then bring it back. It's also way harder to achieve something than it is to maintain that, especially when it comes to your body. It's way harder to build muscle than it is to maintain muscle. You actually need a third of the volume that it takes to build the muscle just to keep it. So if you're doing 12 sets a week for chest, that's 4 sets a week to maintain it. That's 1 exercise a week in 4 sets. It's really not a lot. So you might have to push a little bit harder, might have to be a little bit unsustainable for a certain amount of time, not crazy unsustainable, not crazy drastic, but a little bit for a certain amount of time, and then you can pull back and maintain much easier. You only really have to get in shape once, I think. You only really have to get in shape once. And then after then, you've got it on dial. Like, if you get in great shape once, you can gain some weight and pull it back quite easily. I rarely see people that get in shape once and then get crazy out of shape again, unless it was a very short-term transformation that they pushed themselves way too hard to do and then let themselves go afterwards. That's the exception to the rule there. But generally, if you get in shape, you learn the tools, you learn the healthy habits, you build the lifestyle that then supports that for the rest of your life. Again, even if food goes up. The best thing about my routine is that sometimes I eat more food, but I never miss a training session. So year round I'm training. The only thing that really changes is the amount of food that I eat. That's it. So throughout the entire year I'm building muscle. I'm consistent with that. And then the only thing that changes is the amount of food that I eat. So I gain a little bit of fat in the winter and I pull it off for the summer. And I gain a little bit of fat in the winter and I pull it off for the summer. It blows my mind that some people are so all in or all out with things. Because training takes so little time. Less than 3 hours a week. Less than 3 hours a week to see great results. So if you can even just keep that one habit anchored in your routine, regardless of what happens, you're still going to be building muscle. So even if you have a week that's crazy off plan nutritionally and you eat loads of fucking food, if you train 3 times, you're building muscle. Is it the optimal way to go about it? No. But you are building muscle. You have that routine, that lifestyle that supports your long-term goals. So again, stop looking at the end physique that you want. Start thinking about the lifestyle that you want to build, the way you want your days to look. I wouldn't just dive in and do 6 training sessions a week when there's 1, no point, and 2, you won't be able to sustain it. There is some balance here. Again, as I've said, that sometimes you might have to push a little bit harder for a certain amount of time to achieve the result, but that's, again, generally from a diet side of things. That's generally like if you can strip off a fair amount of fat, if you've got fat to lose, obviously. If you can strip off a fair amount of fat, then you can maintain that much easier. You can maintain that lower body fat much easier. So the body that you can gain from a short-term push is not the representation of who you are, your habits, your lifestyle. It's very short-term. It's condensed time frame. The body that you can actually maintain is the one that represents your real habits, your real priorities. And I think that's something to be really proud of when you have a physique that you are maintaining. You go, I've fucking worked for this. Like, I've earned this. So just think about that. Just be proud of yourself if you're maintaining a physique that you are happy with, that you're doing a lot of work there. And you've built a lifestyle that supports that, which is awesome. So, to wrap things up, again, I didn't want to make this too long. I just wanted to get this point out of my head. If you can create a sustainable lifestyle that allows you to have a body that you're proud of, then you've succeeded. And you shouldn't just focus on the body alone. Focus on the end lifestyle that you want to live, that you will live, that you can sustain, and let the body come as a byproduct. Eat nutritious foods, train 3 times a week, get your steps in, get your general movement, sleep well, look after the people around you, be a family man, be there for the people that need you, like try hard at your job. Pick the lifestyle, let the body come as a byproduct. And there's always things you can change. There's always things you can dial up and dial down depending on the season. If you've got more time, you've got more capacity. Some things are more sustainable for certain times in your life. If you've got more capacity for the 3 months, for example, say you haven't got any crazy projects at work, or, you know, your kids are at school, so like caretaking's lower, whatever it might be, you can dial things up if you want to and sustain things for slightly would have been more unsustainable when you're busier, might be more sustainable now. Dial it up. As soon as it gets busier again, you can dial it down. You maintain the progress that you've made. That is it for this week. I know it's short, but I just needed to get these thoughts out of my head before I leave for Brazil. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for giving me your time. This has been the Middle Ground Podcast. Like, share, subscribe, rate. Follow me on Instagram at JudeVenCoaching, and I will speak to you all in the next one.